Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up to Örebro once again, which is out to the west of Stockholm, and we're going to revisit a brewery who I've not had anything from in quite some time actually. And the last beer I had from them though I was really impressed with. As you can tell again in this video, my voice is still recovering a little bit. It will take a couple of days to do that I guess, but you know, I can still taste everything, I can still smell everything, so I thought, you know, I'm not going to stop doing beer videos just for a stupid cough that I had. So for this one we are going to return to Örebro Brygghus, and today we are having a taste of their double dry hop IPA, which comes in at 6% ABV, and this was one that was released on the 1st of December 2018 through Systembolaget. The last beer I had from these guys I think was the Hallon Berliner Weiss, the raspberry Berliner Weiss that they do, which was really quite nice. That was a while ago actually that I filmed that review, so I'm really interested to try this one and see how we get on. Very curious to see how this beer turns out. So as always, I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one, and I'm certainly looking forward to trying it. It's cool to return to this brewery after quite a little while actually. So yeah, so anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Örebro Brygghus before. No doubt I will do some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Örebro Brygghus then. So as I've mentioned to you before, Örebro Brygghus are based in the city of Örebro, which is just out to the west of Stockholm, and in particular this brewery are based in the Absholmen industrial estate in the city. And this company is run by Anders Gradberg, Jesper Palm, and also Christopher Mathiesen as well. But in total there's 8 co-owners of the company, and the brewing is done by Jesper and Christopher, who are both qualified brewers and previously worked for the Närke Kulturbryggeri, while Anders worked for 14 years in Systembolaget, which is the state-owned alcohol monopoly that we have here in Sweden if you're watching from outside of the country. But in 2012 they got the idea to start their own company, and they first introduced their beers into Systembolaget back in 2016. And in the brewery they have a brew kit from the UK which can brew 2,000 litres at a time, and as of 2017 they'd achieved an annual capacity of 200,000 litres of beer per year. Mainly from what I gather, these guys are brewing IPAs, and there's some sour beers like Berliner Weisses and things in there, but I'm sure I have seen a stout or two and a porter and things from these guys as well. So they are trying out different styles, but mainly they are an IPA and a sour beer brewery from what I've seen so far. But like I said, the last beer I reviewed from these guys was the Hallon Berliner Weiss, which was really quite nice. And I also tried the No Coast IPA a couple of years back as well, which was a really nice beer. So this is the first one from Örebro Brygghus that I've done in quite a little while actually, so I'm very curious to see how it turns out. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about Örebro Brygghus just now. As I say, a really kind of interesting company, and very curious to see how this beer turns out. So if you want to learn a little bit more, you can check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and on Instagram and things like that, and that will keep you up to date with all the latest goings on at the brewery itself. So yeah, let's go on to the tasting of this beer itself. Hopefully when I do my next Örebro Brygghus review I won't sound like I've smoked about 50 a day for the last 20 years. So yeah, nicely presented beer. This one, I actually think this artwork is kind of pretty cool actually. I think they've done a nice job with this. So this one is a 6% IPA. The hops in this are Magnum and Columbus, I believe, as the bittering hop, and it's also got Simcoe, Citra and Mosaic as the dry hops from what I believe. So yeah, it should be a really interesting beer. Nice kind of you know, pretty well known hop selection in there. These hops are quite popular. There you can see, there is the Örebro Brygghus bottle cap on this one. But yeah, it says on the side here, with total focus on quality, we brew handmade and tasty beer, both to deal with tradition and trend, it's basically saying there. So double dry hop IPA for your pleasure, 6% ABV. So yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. We can put the brewery notes away and get this beer out. So yeah. Nice little bit of smoky opening on this one. and we'll get it out and into the glass. And I'll tell you right away, as soon as you open up this beer, you're going to smell the mosaic. The little tangerine orange notes come out of this beer right away as soon as you open up that bottle. And you can smell a little bit of the kind of mangoes from the Citra in there as well. But look at that, that looks really nice, really quite a hazy IPA. So that's one of the other things we should say. I'm not sure whether this should be classified as a New England IPA or a West Coast IPA, but we'll soon find out. In the flavour, it did say on the website that there was wheat malt in the malt base in this one, so I'm guessing it might lean a little bit more towards the New England style of things, and that'll be what's giving it the haze, of course. But you can see there's a solid finger of a frothy, I would say perfect white head on this one. It's not even got a creamy tint, a sort of creamy coloured tint to it, I would say. Pretty much a pure white head on this. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall it looks pretty nice. In terms of colour, I would say this one is leaning more towards the kind of yellow side of things. It's actually not too far off this kind of lighter yellowy orange colour that you've got on the label here. It's really not very far off the colour of that, to be honest. But yeah, it looks very, very nice and not surprising at all in terms of appearance for an IPA. So let's take a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on with this one. So yeah, this smells really quite nice and juicy actually. So yeah, a little bit of passion fruit in there from the Simcoe. You can definitely pick up that little bit of passion fruit. Some nice mangoes as well from the Citra, but for me mainly this fruity aroma is leaning towards that tangerine orange note that you would expect of the mosaic. You smelt that when you opened the bottle up right away with this beer. Tangerines straight away. You can pick up that there's also a little bit of a blueberry note, which is definitely, it's one of the complexities that you'll get with the mosaic hop. For me the mosaic hop is tangerine and also a little bit of blueberry. And you can also pick up, there's a little bit of like that lychee kind of gooseberry thing, which again is the complexity that you can expect from Citra. On the hoppy, grassy side of things, you can definitely smell, it's got a good little bit of a spicy floral aromaticity, which if I remember correctly, that's the Magnum. The Columbus has this almost kind of licoricey, curryish sort of spicy quality to it, and you can definitely pick up a little bit of that in this beer as well. So the grassy floral side of things for me is definitely leaning towards that that floral side. But I like, as I say, I like how everything is going together in this one. I like how this beer goes together. In terms of the malt base, you can smell, there is a little bit of a grainy presence to this one. You can smell some of that nice white bready quality to this beer, and there is a little bit of graininess mixing in with that and some sort of biscuity sweetness as well. But overall, you know, it seems like a pretty straight up beer. In terms of the aroma, I would say it leans towards the fruity juicy side of things. It has got a little bit of that floral quality in there, and the malt base is just a little bit of one of these kind of complexities in the beer as well. The malt base isn't too forthright in this beer, but overall, you know, it doesn't have anything surprising in terms of the aroma with this one, but it is nicely balanced, and of course that's what you want. This is a style that we're all very, very familiar with these days. So yeah, let's have a taste of this beer then. So this one is the Double Dry Hop IPA from Örebro Brygghus in Örebro, just out to the west of Stockholm here in Sweden. Let's get stuck in. Slange Skål. Ooh, that does have a nice little bit of a bitter kick to it when you take it in. First impression of this beer is that it has a nice, a little bit of an oily mouthfeel to it, but it's also got a nice freshness to it. I mean, as I say, this beer was only released on the 1st of December. I'm drinking this one for you on the 6th of December, so it is pretty fresh on its release. And it does taste nice, I will say that straight away. This is a good IPA. I like this one. Again, the thing about this beer, it's not doing anything that's surprising with the style. I said that about the aroma and the appearance and stuff. You know, it's one of these things, the IPA is a style we're all familiar with these days, but it's one of these ones, it's well done, and you can't ask breweries for much more than that. This is just a really well done IPA. I mean, the hops in this, Citra, Simcoe, Mosaic, hops that are used quite a lot. It's a sort of classic IPA, this one. It's kind of summing up what this whole style is about. So thumbs up to Örebro Brygghus for this one. I like how this beer is going together. It's well crafted, the flavours blend together nicely. So let's try and just break it down a little bit and see exactly what we're getting from this beer. Yeah, so malt base then. There's a little bit of that pale malty quality that just blankets the middle of the palate there. You can feel that going right across the middle of your tongue. As the flavour progresses a little bit, you start to get a little bit more of a sweetness out of the malt base. There's a little bit of a grainy quality in there, some sweeter biscuity notes. And I want to say there's a little bit of an almost caramelly flavour in the middle of that. There's definitely something that's a little bit sweeter than biscuit in the middle of the palate on this one. It's got a really nice balance. The malt base, I think, is really well done on this, and that's the thing that's standing out to me with this beer. I've always loved it when IPAs, you know, a lot of people just go on to blast you with hoppiness when it comes to this style. If you can get a really nicely balanced malt base in the beer, then I don't understand why more people don't kind of go for that with this one, with this style. It's a lot of people just put, you know, a straight pale malt base, and then it's all about the hops kind of on top of that. But for me, if you can get the malt base right, it really just adds another dimension to the beer. And Örebro, I can tell you straight away with this beer, have been successful in that. It's got a good little bit of complexity to it, this malt base, and it has that little bit of a slightly sweet backbone that you would want from the IPA. And in a way, in some ways, you know, there's all this thing about not New England, West Coast IPAs. This one for me leans a little bit more towards the West Coast side of things because of the sweetness that it has, but it also has a little bit of that smoothness that you would want from the New England IPA, and that'll be the wheat malt that's giving it that, to be honest. So this one, it has a little bit of the New England in it, and it has a little bit of the West Coast, but the malt base, I think, is one of the highlights of this beer. But the hoppy side of things is good as well, don't get me wrong on that. So let's focus on that for a minute. In the back corners of the palate, there's a little touch of earthiness there. As you come further forward, with it along the sides of your palate on this beer, that earthiness it spreads a little bit, then it becomes more kind of floral and spicy towards the front corners of your palate. You can definitely pick up there's a little bit of that kind of licoricey, aniseedy sort of thing, which, if I remember rightly, is from the Columbus. It has a little bit of that more kind of spicy note there. The Magnum's also going to give you a bit of that floral spice, but for me it leans more to, I think the Columbus is coming out a little bit more than the Magnum in this beer. Then round the very front curve of the palate, it's a little bit of a lighter kind of grassy sort of thing with this one. It's really nice and slightly lighter and crisp around the front kind of curve of the palate there. Behind the front curve of the tongue, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And again, this beer is really well balanced in there. It's got a nice blend of things. So yeah, it's underneath. You can pick out a little bit of the mangoes and the passion fruits from the Citra and the Simcoe kind of respectively, but there's also that nice sort of tangerine note. When you move a little bit further forward, you start to get more of the kind of tangerine notes, which are the Mosaic there. And the very front kind of tip of the tongue, there's a little bit of that blue, that sort of blueberry kind of flavour that comes out. It's one of the complexities you'll get from the Mosaic hop. And there's also a little bit of a kind of lychee gooseberry sort of thing in here as well. It's got a nice juicy edge to it, this beer. I think as I was saying, the impression I had with the aroma of this one was that it was the Mosaic that's a little bit more forthright in this beer. And again, with the flavour, I would stick with that, although I would say the Simcoe and the Citra do have a fairly strong presence. The mangoes and the passion fruits there are coming out quite nicely in this beer as well. But for me, this is one of these IPAs where it's all about how everything goes together. It doesn't try to be overly punchy in any one right. In terms of the style, I think it leans a little bit more towards the West Coast side of things, but it does have a little bit of that New England character in there. Their No Coast IPA that they did a couple of years ago, I think I said the same thing about that, but this is a very well balanced IPA. As I say, it's not one that's going to blow your head off, but it's nicely balanced, it's got a nice blend of flavours, and it's all about how those flavours kind of blend together. So I'll say thumbs up to Örebro Brygghus for this one. They've put out another really quite solid beer in my opinion, and you can't ask them for much more than that. So yeah, that's a good point to leave the flavour side of this thing. In terms of the mouthfeel, I would say mid-bodied beer. Carbonation is quite smooth on this one. It leans a little bit more towards the oily side of things in terms of its mouthfeel. Good balance in the malt base between smoothness and sweetness. Gets a little bit of sweetness the further into the aftertaste you go, like I said. In terms of the bitterness, I would guess this is somewhere around the 40 IBU mark. It's got a nice little bit of that floral aromaticity to it you would expect from the IPAs, and it's got a lovely juicy fruity quality to it as well. So overall, like I said, nicely brewed IPA that's well crafted, this one, and it's all about how these flavours blend together. I'm sure I said the same thing actually about the No Coast IPA and the Hallon Berliner Weiss that they do. You know, for me, Örebro, their beers have always got a really nice blend of flavours, and they always seem to just go together very well. That's the kind of impression I have of the stuff that they are doing, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Of course, a very positive review for me in terms of this beer from Örebro, and I do hope I can try a couple more other things. I need to try something from them on the darker side of the spectrum. As I always say, when you try a new brewery, you want to have something from the dark side of the spectrum and something from the lighter side of the spectrum. I've had the sour, I've had the light, but I need to get the dark now and just see how these guys do that. But yeah, glad I was able to try this one. If you get the chance, this is still quite fresh in Systembolaget, so make sure you pick them up and have them when they're just in that nice kind of state. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this beer. Another very, very solid one from Örebro Brygghus, and I would recommend that you have a go at this one. I'd certainly drink it again. So yeah, have a go at this beer for yourself. But once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Örebro Brygghus as well. Hopefully on my next review that I do from these guys, I don't sound like I've smoked 50 cigarettes a day for 20 years. Hopefully I'm sure my cough and stuff will have kind of cleared up properly. But yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Make sure you check out my social media. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Örebro Brygghus, and let me know what your thoughts on this one were below as well. Until the next time, it's Slanja just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. This was the double dry hopped IPA from Örebro Brygghus in Örebro here in Sweden. Slanja, skål.